in the hushed luxury of the Grand Emerald Hotel's bridal suite high above Seattle's glistening skyline. I sat motionless in my ivory gown, the delicate lace suddenly feeling like chains. The air smelled of wilting white lilies and the faint metallic tang of abandonment. My bouquet rested abandoned on the vanity, petals curling at the edges like forgotten promises. 3 hours earlier, I should have been walking down the aisle toward Marcus Hale. Instead, my cousin burst in with her phone thrust forward like evidence from a crime scene. The screenshot showed Marcus and my younger sister Ava laughing in the first-class lounge at Seattle-Tacoma Airport, boarding passes for a direct flight to Honolulu clutched in their hands. The timestamp, 1:52 p.m. While the makeup artist had been perfecting my smoky eyes, they were toasting with champagne, already shedding the lives they had pretended to live. My hands didn't shake. My breath stayed even. Something inside me simply clicked into place, colder and sharper than grief. My name is Elena Brooks. I'm 28, a senior risk management consultant at Apex Strategies in Seattle's bustling financial district. I had spent months orchestrating every detail of this day, the venue overlooking Puget Sound, the custom menu, the string quartet. Now the room echoed with the absence of everything I had planned. My phone vibrated relentlessly on the silk duvet. Messages from bridesmaids and family flooding in, but I already knew the story they carried. The door flew open. My parents swept inside, faces tight with the practiced calm of people accustomed to managing crises from boardrooms rather than broken hearts. "Elena, we have to contain this," my mother said, her voice measured, Botox keeping her expression from fully registering horror. "The 200 guests are waiting. We're telling them it's a sudden family health issue." I repeated her words slowly, tasting their absurdity. "A health issue? Is that how we describe my sister stealing my groom on the day I'm supposed to marry him?" My father adjusted his cufflinks, the same fidget he'd had since I was small. "Ava has always been more sensitive, more emotional. These things, they happen sometimes. You know how she gets." The laugh that escaped me was low and unfamiliar. "These things happen. She's been crying her way into everything since she was 5. My music box from Grandma, my spot in the advanced summer art program, even my college boyfriend when she claimed he made her uncomfortable, and now my fiancé." They exchanged glances, relieved that the eldest daughter was still performing her role, the steady one, the reasonable one. "Just stay composed," my mother instructed. "We'll spin it as a postponement." The Fosters don't air their private pain in public. They left me with orders to freshen up and join them downstairs for damage control. Alone again, I stared at my reflection. Flawless makeup, pearls from Marcus's grandmother, the dress that had taken 4 fittings. Then an Instagram notification chimed. Ava had posted, her head on Marcus's shoulder aboard the plane. Champagne flutes raised. Caption: "Sometimes the heart leads you where you never expected. Following our truth to Hawaii. Meant to be. New beginnings." The casual cruelty landed like ice water. I opened my laptop, still perched where I'd left it that morning, checking the weather for outdoor photos that would never happen. My fingers moved with deliberate calm as I created a new folder, Recovery Campaign. Inside, I started a master document. At the top, Marcus Hale and Ava Brooks, complete timeline of betrayal. First entry, Christmas Eve last year, when Ava had appeared at our apartment door in tears, mascara running, throwing herself into Marcus's arms. He had held her longer than necessary. The memories came in a slow cascade. From childhood, Ava had wailed until she got what she wanted, and my parents had always framed my yielding as strength. "You're the older one, Elena. Be the bigger person." When I earned a scholarship to the Rhode Island School of Design, Ava's panic attacks meant I stayed local at the University of Washington instead, switching to business for practicality. My college boyfriend, kind and steady, became creepy after one forgotten compliment. I ended it to keep peace. Marcus had seemed different. We met at a professional conference 2 years ago, both reaching for the same coffee. He was confident, established in finance, from a family outside our orbit. For months he saw Ava's theatrics clearly, squeezing my hand under the table, joking privately about her endless crises. Then the shift, Ava's latest breakup. Late-night talks through the wall, his hand stroking her hair. My best friend Claire had warned me weeks before the wedding. The way Ava watches him, it's not sisterly. I had brushed it off, conditioned by 28 years of silence.
Now,
In this empty suite, I understood. Every surrender had taught them I would always fold. I began cataloging every suspicious glance, every canceled plan, every too-long touch at family dinners. They believed my quietness was weakness. They were about to learn it was strategy. By late afternoon, the first pages of the timeline were complete. Restaurant receipts I'd quietly noted, hotel charges from work trips, Ava's Instagram stories from supposed wellness retreats that aligned too perfectly with Marcus's absences. The recovery campaign had begun. The first months after the wedding that never happened felt like moving through fog, mechanical routines masking the transformation underneath. I woke at dawn, showered, drove to Apex Strategies, and executed high-stakes risk assessments for clients while my personal life lay in meticulously organized digital ruins on my laptop. My parents called weekly with their scripted concern. How are you managing? Fine. Have you heard from Ava? No. Each conversation ended with the familiar lie. We love you both equally. 3 months in, after an awkward encounter with Marcus's mother at a local market who tearfully revealed Ava was pregnant, I requested a transfer to our San Francisco office. Apex had been courting me for the California team. The promotion to Director of Strategic Initiatives came with a significant raise and signing bonus large enough to clear the mountain of wedding debt I now carried alone. My mother called it running away. I called it advancement. What I didn't say was that the bonus would also seed the next phase of the campaign. Claire visited me in my new apartment overlooking the bay 6 months later, wine in hand and determination in her eyes. We sat on the balcony as the Pacific stretched before us. I've been digging, she said, opening her laptop. Marcus's investment history was a house of cards, grand launches followed by quiet collapses, leveraged to the hilt. Former partners had pending lawsuits for fraud and breach of duty. My cousin James, an attorney, joined via video from Seattle. They're back from Hawaii, living in Marcus's condo. They just launched a luxury event planning company called Harmony Vows, promising soulful, authentic weddings. Their website featured photos from my original venue, my florist, my caterer, literally building their portfolio on the wedding they had stolen. The audacity sparked something alive in me for the first time in months. While they played house with my blueprint, I was architecting their exposure. Over the next 3 months, we built the case. James connected with Marcus's burn partners. Claire created dummy accounts tracking every post. I used my new position to quietly research their fresh investors, tech money in Portland unaware of his history. Ava posted constantly, pregnancy announcements in designer maternity clothes, Marcus beaming at ultrasounds, home renovations funded by their new venture. They attended charity galas, photographed as Portland's rising power couple. Ava had hyphenated Brooks Hale, claiming both the family name she had weaponized and the man she had taken. I saved every screenshot, every receipt, every deleted email Claire recovered showing their affair had begun months earlier. One thread stood out, Marcus writing that I was too predictable, Ava replying they would soon access my supposed inheritance from Grandma. The inheritance didn't exist. Grandma had left memories and a music box. Nothing more. They had wrecked my life, chasing a fantasy. The dossier grew to over 100 pages: financial fraud from the drained honeymoon fund, business failures, affair timeline, Harmony vows contracts using my contacts without disclosure, and the riskiest section, Marcus's debts to high-interest private lenders who didn't forgive easily. By the one-year mark, everything was in place. They believed they had washed their betrayal away in Hawaiian sunsets and built a fresh empire. They thought I had faded into dignified silence, as always. The 110-page dossier rested on my desk like a loaded weapon, tabbed, color-coded, cross-referenced with bank records, court documents, social media archives, and the recovered emails proving they had planned to exploit a non-existent trust fund. James called it obsessive, Claire called it masterful. I called it necessary accountability. I compiled the recipient list carefully: every current investor in Harmony vows, every vendor they had contracted, society bloggers covering their romance, and, crucially, Marcus's private creditors. The cover email was clinical. Concerned parties may find the attached documentation relevant to dealings with Harmony vows and its principals. All information independently verified. My finger hovered over send for only seconds before I pressed it. Within minutes, the phones began ringing, block numbers I ignored. This was never about direct confrontation. It was about consequences finally arriving. By evening, investors started withdrawing. Vendors quietly canceled contracts. The tech executive's $250,000 wedding booking evaporated. Portland society blogs ran headlines questioning the founder's past. Ava went live on Instagram, 7 months pregnant, tears streaming as she painted herself the victim. Love isn't logical. My sister has always been jealous. She's trying to destroy our happiness. The comments turned against her almost immediately as screenshots from the dossier flooded in. The fake trust fund mention, affair timeline, financial irregularities. Someone tagged the creditors. Marcus posted a rambling defense, tagging me directly for the first time since the wedding. I didn't reply. The downloads of the dossier spoke louder. Then my phone rang. Marcus's voice was raw desperation. "You vindictive, do you know what you've done? The lenders want their money tonight. They saw the documents." "Sounds like your problem now," I replied evenly. "Ava's pregnancy? Also your problem." He pleaded for apology. Money. Anything to stop it. I told him I wanted them to live with their choices. The lost calls, blacklisted vendors, creditors knocking, the slow realization that the foundation was rotten. I hung up and blocked the number. Within days, Harmony vows folded. Lawsuits accelerated. Marcus filed bankruptcy. Ava moved back with our parents. I archived the folder, closed the laptop, and for the first time in over a year, slept deeply. They had taken my wedding day. I had taken the illusion that they could escape accountability. My parents summoned me to an exclusive Portland restaurant months later, white tablecloths, city lights glittering below. They sat at their usual power table. I arrived in a simple black dress that spoke quiet confidence. "We need to discuss what you've done," my father began. "Your sister is 7 months pregnant, abandoned, penniless." I echoed calmly. "Be specific." "I've done many things lately." They accused me of destroying Ava's life with the dossier. Marcus was in hiding from threats. Ava's stress endangered the baby. "She's fragile," my mother insisted. "You've always been the strong one." "No," I said softly. "I've always been convenient." "There's a difference." They asked what it would take to fix it. I explained I couldn't undo truth. I had only shared it. The family name suffered not from me but from their enabling and Marcus's exploitation. When they pleaded for compassion, I reminded them of the bridal suite where their first concern had been narrative control, not my pain. I revealed I had transferred $10,000, not to Ava, but earmarked for the baby who hadn't chosen this chaos. Nothing more. I also mentioned speaking with extended family. including Aunt Catherine, who controlled trusts and now knew the full story. As I left, my mother called after me that I would regret the coldness when alone. I turned. I've been alone in this family my whole life. The difference is I've stopped pretending. Outside in the gentle Portland rain, I breathed freely. Claire texted, "How did it go?" I replied, "They wanted me to save her." I finally saved myself. Later revelations came via James and an unexpected call from Marcus. Ava had orchestrated much of it. Knowing his debts, introducing risky lenders, planning his downfall once the business failed, lining up her next target before the pregnancy announcement. She had viewed me as too weak to fight back. I chose not to release the new evidence publicly. Releasing it would have been easy, satisfying. Instead, I recognized Ava was already living her consequences, trapped in manipulation, isolated despite the baby. In San Francisco, life settled into a new rhythm. I thrived at Apex, closing major deals, building genuine friendships. Wesley, my thoughtful neighbor turned partner, became a steady presence, kind, non-judgmental, loving the woman I had become without asking me to shrink. At a charity gala, Ava approached me, visibly pregnant, her polished facade cracked by reality. She admitted I had been right about everything, that her actions stemmed from greed and insecurity, not fragility. She wasn't seeking forgiveness or money, only acknowledgement that I heard her. She planned to teach her daughter using me as the example of strength and boundaries. I told her to use the money for therapy, for the child's sake. Her genuine tears were the first I had ever seen from her. As she left, wary of a restraining order from her ex's family, I felt no triumph, only a quiet clarity that some bridges, once burned, are best left in ash. Later that night on the beach with Wesley, he told me he loved me. I said it back, meaning it fully. This was chosen, real, built on honesty. My phone buzzed with Ava's text. "I'm sorry." 2 words. Years too late. I archived it as a reminder that apologies without change remain manipulation. The next morning over balcony breakfast with Wesley, watching the sun paint the ocean, we spoke of ordinary things, work, plans, each other. No drama. No sacrifice. Peaceful.
Mine.
A young student later asked to interview me for her thesis on strategic recovery after betrayal. My story had inspired her. I reflected that it wasn't pretty or neatly reconciled, but it was true.
Mine.
And finished. I created one final note. Campaign complete. Recovery achieved. Life begins now. Then I closed the laptop, turned off the phone, and stepped fully into the present with the man who saw me clearly, in the life I had rebuilt from ashes. Somewhere Ava was learning solitude with her choices. Marcus hid from his. My parents enabled denial. And I was free, not from scars, but from the weight of expectations disguised as love. Free to be myself. Unapologetically. That remains the truest justice.